Welcome to Mr.Terror Tales, where the shadows whisper the darkest secrets and every corner hides a nightmare waiting to be unleashed. Tonight, we invite you to step inside, but be warned. Not every story is meant to be heard. Some tales are cursed. Some stories can follow you home. Are you sure you're ready? It's said that kindness can sometimes be the most dangerous thing you can offer. Sarah and Michael didn't know that letting a stranger into their home would unleash the horrors of their past. A single act of charity can turn into a nightmare you can never escape. It was supposed to be a simple act of compassion. A woman caught in the rain with nowhere to go. But Sarah felt the unease the moment Anna stepped through the door. Her eyes were too dark, too knowing. Anna was polite, well-spoken, but something was off. It wasn't her appearance, it was her way of being. As if she wasn't truly present, but somehow watching them, waiting. Sarah and Michael did their best to be kind, but every polite smile felt like a mask, hiding something darker beneath it. They didn't think much of it at first. The strange comments Anna made about their home, about their lives. It seemed like nothing more than an odd coincidence. But then, the pictures began appearing in their hallway. Photographs of Sarah and Michael from before they even knew each other. Pictures that shouldn't exist. Years ago, Sarah had been in a tragic accident. She had hit a pedestrian in the middle of the night. No one had seen her face. But one thing haunted Sarah, the scream of the woman she'd hit. It didn't sound human, and it didn't end with the crash. What Sarah didn't know was that Anna was no stranger. She had been watching Sarah for years. Anna was the sister of the woman Sarah had killed, and she had come to make her pay. You can't escape the past. No matter how far you run, it will always find you. Anna whispering, "I've been waiting for this moment, Sarah. Waiting to see the woman who took my sister's life. But now it's your turn." David had never been a man to trust easily, but when Ethan arrived at his door, asking for a place to stay, there was something about the stranger that made David's heart skip a beat. His eyes were dark, too dark, and the way he spoke, like he already knew everything about David. David's house was ancient, creaky floors, peeling wallpaper, and a sense of decay that filled every room. But it was the attic that held the most memories. The attic where his brother Thomas had disappeared. The attic David never dared to enter again. At first, Ethan was polite, quiet. He never mentioned the attic directly, but his eyes always seemed drawn to it. And David couldn't shake the feeling that Ethan knew exactly what had happened there. 10 years ago, David and Thomas had fought. It was a fight that pushed Thomas over the edge. David had watched as his brother stormed into the attic, slamming the door behind him. When David went to check on him, there was no sign of Thomas. No scream, no struggle, just silence. And from that day on, the house felt different, empty, cold. As the days passed, Ethan grew more obsessed with the attic. He would stay up late, staring at the door, as if something inside was calling to him. David's unease grew, but when he confronted Ethan, the stranger only smiled, an eerie, unsettling grin. One night, after a long day of avoidance, David finally dared to open the attic door. The room was dusty and dark, the air thick with the scent of old wood and something decayed. But then he saw it, or rather him. Thomas hadn't left. He had been locked in the attic all this time, hiding in the shadows, waiting for David to come back. And when David opened the door, it was too late. Thomas whispering, you left me here to die." Claire had a brother, Ethan. He had disappeared years ago during a storm. The family never found his body, and no one ever spoke of him again. But Claire had always known the truth. Ethan hadn't just run away. He had been taken by something, by them. As the dinner went on, and the air in the room grew thicker, the shadows in the corners seemed to grow darker. more tangible. Claire started hearing whispers, low voices, like murmurs from another room. But when she asked John and Lucy about it, they just smiled and shrugged. Then Claire began to feel something else. A presence in the house, a weight. The temperature dropped, and the whispers, they became clearer. Claire was no longer the host. She was the prey. The invitation she had received was a trap. John and Lucy were not guests. They were part of something older, something darker. They had come to collect. When you invite strangers into your home, you never know who or what you might be letting in. Thank you for joining us tonight on Mr.Terror Tales. But remember, the dark secrets we uncover aren't just stories. They live, they breathe, and they wait for the next soul to listen. If you dare, subscribe. And if you think you've heard enough, remember, the scariest tales are the ones you haven't yet discovered. Until next time, if you can sleep, sleep well, if you can.